Welcome back, Caddy Corner, episode 49. I'm Austin.
And I'm Caleb.
And we are here in I feel like we always say a new and improved outdoor set. It is the end of February, and it's like 75 degrees outside, and we live in the middle of North Carolina.
Dude, it feels so good.
Dude, it's so good. And so I felt like it would be sacrilegious to not record the podcast outside, given the fact that the weather is, as far as I'm concerned, pretty darn perfect, all things considered. But we are here today kind of with a different vibe of episode. You guys haven't really gotten like a traditional podcast in kind of a long time, to be honest. But today we're doing what I guess consider like a brainstorm session listen-in type vibe. Sup, Oscar? But we're just going to kind of talk about some stuff. Caleb and I haven't really talked about anything in the past like little while because we haven't made a podcast in a while in the same way like I just said. So we're going to talk about just kind of ideas. I have a couple of questions that I want to ask Caleb about, and we're just going to kind of talk about being a creator for however long we go for. So I'll let you take it away if you want, and we'll go from there.
All right. So I just have some ideas that I thought maybe we could talk about and see maybe how we're feeling about some things. And so the very first kind of idea that I have written down for like something that we could do for the podcast is I've been thinking of a live podcast.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that would be so sick. I think being able to like record a show just like how we normally would, but have like fans or whatever be able to like listen live or like interact in real time, I think would be super sick because we've tried like having the fans interact pre-shows,
yeah.
So like have like Google Docs or whatever, and I feel like those don't work as well as kind of like a live show would. And so I think that that's something that I would be super interested in, and I feel like you would probably feel the same way.
Yeah, I think that where my brain goes is what the heck would we do on a live show?
Yeah, and I don't know. In my brain, I think it would kind of be
like the Christmas special.
Or like how we did the question and answer thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like that, but like a live show. And yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly how it would look like because I've personally never listened to a live podcast before. But, and I think that would just like kind of change up the vibes, you know. We do the same thing like pretty much every week. Except for, like, with the exception of the last couple weeks because they've been, like, weird time-wise. But, we pretty much put out the same show.
Yeah, similar-ish.
Similar every week. So I think, like, being able to bring something new and a little bit different, I think that could only help.
Yeah, I agree. I literally, what my brain is thinking right now is what would we do for a live show, and I feel like it would feel a lot like the Christmas special. Like how we did. Because the Christmas special, that was like the most different thing that we've ever done, I think, for the podcast. Because it was more so segment-based than it was like concept-based. Where we really like literally planned out like 6 different individual, almost shows kind of over the course of 2 podcasts. So I feel like a live show would have to almost feel like that.
Yeah, and I do. I think it would feel just like that.
Yeah, and then also what my brain thinks too is like what would we do? How do we involve the chat the best that we could possibly do that too?
And I have no clue because I've never
done anything with the chat. Actually, the only thing that I've ever done with the chat is one time we were doing one of the basketball games, and I had to, while commentating, like delete comments, like moderate the chat, which was like whatever. But
yeah, I used to remember those days whenever people would get like they would start talking junk in the comment section of like our YouTube lives.
I remember that you couldn't do that. I remember that.
Yeah, it was like against the rules.
Yeah, it was like against the rules or whatever, which is funny too. But yeah, I don't know. We definitely should think about that. That's something that people have said about, to me at least, about like things that we could do to kind of push the show forward or whatever, is a live show. There's also too, I think that some people don't realize, there's a lot of moving parts that go behind that. Like we would have to get like different gear. I think. I don't know that to be true, but I think we would have to get some kind of other way of capturing the video side of it. The audio side of it we can pretty much handle. The video side I'm not 100% sure if our current setup can do a live production that way. And also we probably need another human to switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that until literally just now. So there's a lot of moving parts. People don't know that about, because we kind of have done like live production with the with this athletics and stuff like that. It was obviously less hands-on with the cameras. We were just talking into mics basically, but I don't know. That's interesting. My brain's moving in that way a lot. I don't know. What would we do? I always think it would be fun to do a live show from like a cool location. That would be cool.
I know. And like, I feel like this is kind of one of those things where like no matter where you are, you can like do a podcast, and that's like pretty cool. But I feel like going somewhere cool and like doing like a live podcast would be like sick from like a mountain or something.
Yeah.
You know, like something crazy.
I also think too, I thought about this actually recently, which is like instead of live, this is kind of a separate idea, but what if we took the podcast somewhere and like shot a podcast like in the middle of town, and then like people are walking by doing whatever, and like if they wanted to, they could have like a third mic, they could just jump on the podcast.
Dude, that would be so sick.
Dude, that would be so cool, right? And then it would be like how I feel like that is like easier and more doable than like a live show, just because of the like logistics technology wise there, and then like connection and blah blah blah. But dude, like you just like fold out tablecloth, nice little Caddy Corner decal, and like a third mic is just there, and then we're just like making a regular podcast, and then next thing you know, like somebody just comes and sits, and we just talk about whatever happens.
Yeah, that would be so cool. I've never even thought about that. Yeah. But that is such an interesting thing.
It'd be super fun, I feel like.
That would be so interesting because like people have like some crazy stories.
For sure.
And I've learned this, especially like people around here too, you know, like we live in a small town, and you would think like people don't have like crazy stories. But one of my instructors at school they were working on this project, and they would like go around the town and they would find people to interview, and then they would interview them, and then after they like did their interviews, they did the recordings, and then they put the recordings in like a speaker underneath park benches, and so like whenever somebody would sit down on a park bench, they would like listen to somebody's story, you know.
That's crazy.
From
awesome.
Like around the town.
Yeah.
But we were like going through all of his like audio footage, because like I know stuff about audio, and I guess he doesn't really know as much or whatever.
Sure.
And so I was like showing him how to use Audition and stuff, and I was like listening to these people's stories, and I was like, these people have some crazy stories. So I think that could be so interesting, just having like somebody random jump on like the podcast or something, and then like we could just talk to them and like figure out what they...
Well, they could just say whatever they wanted to say, basically, you know?
Yeah.
Now, that could obviously get like dangerous probably, but like, I don't know, that would be fun, I think. It'd be worth at least exploring.
Yeah.
Like the idea of that.
Yeah, I think that's super sick.
Yeah, that would be awesome, I think. Big time. I can't like definitely say exactly, but I've been working on that like behind the scenes thing for the podcast that I've told you a little bit about, that you did that design thing for. I think that I'm gonna create the first run of those like at the end of the week.
Dang.
Yeah. Obviously we're gonna have to see if it sucks or not, but I have this like idea that we could like have, that could be something that we like give to all of our past guests / people that like support the podcast. That would be cool, I think. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
There's not like a lot that I can really say about it yet, because I feel like it gets like its own time whenever it's like really ready to go.
Yeah.
And I would want to show it too. So probably next podcast, guys, I'll have some physical. It's a physical product. We've never done a physical product before. But I think we're definitely gonna have a physical product.
Yeah.
Pretty soon. And I don't know how number one, because that was kind of a spur of the moment idea. I just kind of came up with it like super fast. But I guess we can say we're making stickers, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever you say it like that, it doesn't sound so cool
No,
anymore.
it doesn't. But
it is cool.
That's what I mean, because it like I feel like it needs to be shown. You know what I'm saying?
And like this is something that we're new to, you know, and like this is something that we've wanted to get into, you know, like physical products that we could give to people or like sell to people or whatever it is. And I think that stickers is like the best place to start, because you can make like some super sick designs, you know, and then you have them for yourself, and then like anyone will take a free sticker.
Facts.
You know? And so, like, we're not using this to make, like, $1 bazillion or whatever. You know, we're using this to just get our podcast out to the world. And, you know, what better way to do that than to, like, give somebody a sticker?
Literally, exactly.
People love
that.
stickers.
It's like literally. It's like whenever I was thinking about ways, because I think that the first time you make something physical, the point should be to like help get your brand out there. Because it's like, what is a business card? You know, a sticker is kind of, in our case, it's kind of like a cool business card. You know? Like if we gave somebody a business card for our podcast, that kind of means nothing. But if we give somebody a cool sticker, like that's well thought out and like well made and stuff like that, that to me is more interesting. And yeah, dude, like that's just cool. I think that that's something that was interesting, and just kind of, I feel like it's kind of nobody that we know people that are making content doing similar stuff. Don't know anybody making stickers, like no shots, but that's just kind of how, it's kind of like a more unique, I feel like, thing. It's not like where people don't usually start with stickers, is what I mean, I guess. People usually start with like t-shirts and stuff, but stickers were cool.
Yeah, so that is super cool.
Yeah, and we have some ideas that we're working on. So, but yeah, I think that I'll probably have some level of first edition prints, I hope, by the end of the week, ballpark. So stay tuned, boys and girls.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, right?
So, speaking of that, I have found somebody, and she makes things. She makes like t-shirts and like hats and like pins, like pins that write with like customized logos and stuff.
Cool.
And so I met her, and I have her business card.
Sick.
And so I don't know how you feel about getting like hats.
Hats would be sick.
I think so too.
Hats would be sick. The thing is I have no design at all that I would want to put on a hat yet.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
That's where you start.
That's where we have no limitations.
Literally. Yeah, I like the idea of hats a lot. I don't know if you guys have ever watched the podcast before, but I think we've worn a hat in every podcast, both of us. I literally think that might be true.
Yeah.
It's most likely true.
Dude, I cannot even tell you the last time that I left my house without a hat on.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, so hats would be awesome. Dude, now my brain is like running a million miles an hour because what do we put on a hat?
Dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like such a cool idea too.
Yeah.
You know, like a customized hat.
That fits our brand too.
That's what I think. Like you said, we've worn a hat in every single episode. Me, I have.
I know I have to.
Yeah.
I have to.
And so, like, what better thing to get with like a logo on it than like a hat?
Yeah. I literally agree completely. I think that would be super sweet, and I think that we should do that like ASAP Rocky.
That's what I'm saying. I got a business card in my pocket right now.
Let's go. That's super cool. Yep. That's super, 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 super cool. Dang, that's cool.
Yeah.
Dude, what do we put on a hat? Anyway, that's for another time. We'll start working on that. I wish I could draw.
Yeah, I know. It'd be so much easier.
It would be so much easier. I have no idea. That's awesome, though. That's completely worth doing. This is less podcast related, but I'm interested in if you have a strategy / what it is if you do have one. But number one, how do you pick music for videos? Ever?
Well, most of the time I start in Adobe stock. And I will, like, the only things that I've ever had, like, scores for is, like, my last 2 videos in my videography class. Well, I say that one of the scores that I did, like, I wrote and recorded, but that was different. And then, but usually I'll just, like, try and find something that, like, fits the vibe, but I always find the music after.
After?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and then, like, one time I made this cool thing, and it was, like, not like a hype video, and not like a trailer either, but it was just, like this cool, like, edit, I guess. And I found the song first, and it had, like, this, like these parts in the song that were, like, whoa, you know, and then, like, every time it would do that, it would, like, change.
Sure.
Or whatever. And then my first project in videography 2, which I'm in this semester, I had, like, a clock ticking, like, in the background, and, like, every time the clock would tick, the clip would change.
Like it would cut, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, but most of the time, I just, like, find a song or, like, sound that, like, fits the vibe or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I made, like, a little, like, corny horror movie or something, and I made, like, pick, like, some corny horror movie soundtrack, and then,
intentionally corny.
Yeah, and then like I did my sister's documentary, and for that I had, like, sad music or whatever, because it was, like, a sad story turned into, like, a redemption story, and then, like, the second half was, like, upbeat,
right,
faster, happier music or
Sure.
whatever. So yeah,
I feel like I suck at that, and I've learned that over like the past, I guess, this semester. I feel like that's where I like really suck at making videos, is when it comes to like what do you put underneath the video, like music and sound, especially sound effects. I don't know what to do with sound effects ever.
yeah, sound effects is tough. And what I've learned about doing sound effects, because I have had to do sound effects before, is you record sound effects yourself.
Yeah.
So like if you're shooting, it's like whenever you shoot the clip, then like whatever happens in the video that like the sound got like super distorted or whatever, or like it's too quiet and you need it to be like louder and more there or whatever, then just go back and like do the same thing and like without the video and just like hold your microphone up to
Right.
whatever you're doing, and then that's how I do all my sound effects.
And you get good results with that.
Yeah, every
Yeah.
time.
That's interesting. I don't know. I just like never know what to put places and when it matters or doesn't matter. I'm just like really bad at that side of it, I think. And music too. I'm bad at finding music that I have a hard time with, because I don't like any of the non-copyright stuff. It all sucks. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
well,
saying?
non-copyright stuff sucks. Yeah.
A lot of it, I feel like, most of it. And so I've just been like using copyrighted music in the videos recently, which has been fun. I don't care.
Well, I mean, as long as it's for school, then it doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it's copyrighted or not. But if it goes into a public setting,
It doesn't even matter
Then-
then, though.
you have to have permission if you don't want to like get in trouble.
Well,
But like sometimes people never find out.
and on YouTube too, though, it's just you can't make money off of it.
Yeah.
The money goes to whoever made the songs
Yes.
instead of the creator, which is like not that big of a deal. You know what I mean?
I mean, no, it's not.
Which is like interesting. I don't know. It's just like weird. That's always been the hardest thing for me when it comes to making videos, is how the heck do I find music that doesn't suck to go underneath this? And I was just wondering, because you know more about music than I do, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah. Well, I just like if I'm making a documentary, and the documentary starts off sad, then I like in Premiere they have like a sound
Yeah.
selection that you can get from Adobe Stock
Yeah.
that is like copyright free.
Yeah.
And so you go in there and you type in like sad
Yeah.
or
And you pull
Sorrow.
whatever you want.
and then like they have comes up with hundreds of sound bites that you can choose from, like songs, everything that you can choose from, and then you like go through them and you'd be like, this one fits, this one fits, this one fits, this one does, you know, and then you find the ones that do, and then you can throw them on there and be like, okay, this like actually does,
Yeah.
or like, okay, I thought this would, but it actually
Of
doesn't.
course.
And then like what I like to do too is I make it super duper quiet, you know, like
yeah.
like somebody would have to put it there to even know that it's there, you
Right.
know, because like whenever you're watching a documentary, you're not thinking about what's the song
That's
saying.
true.
You're thinking about, or like what does the song sound like? You're thinking about what is this person saying, you know, and then that just happens. Like the music is just there to to just like help the vibe, you
Yeah.
know. So like it's like super quiet and super. Usually like I choose like really minimalistic stuff,
Sure.
you know, just something to set the vibe so that people know what to feel,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
it's
interesting.
not like the first thing that they think of, like, because the last thing you want whenever you're making a documentary is for somebody to like be thinking about the music and like miss what's actually happening.
Yeah. That's interesting too. I don't know. That's something that I'm like I've been thinking about and like working on. Like one of my things that I want to do over like in March is I want to like create a I don't know, like I guess like a playlist of music that I think would be cool to make videos with,
Yeah.
which I think is cool. Is like interesting too, because I also think that you can like listen to a song and imagine it and like in a video form, and I know what's kind of like gonna go with it. That's kind of how I've been trying to do it, which I've noticed is much more difficult than picking something that fits the vibe and like using it as a tool instead of like almost like the reason why you're making the video is because of the song. That's kind of where I'm at, which is like backwards.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of people do kind of do that where they find a song and then they make like a video around the song. And I know that I've definitely had like video ideas that have
Spurred
came
from music.
about from music, yeah. And so I think that like totally makes sense if that's kind of what works. But I think for the projects that I've done so far, it has made more sense to just
Add it basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
add it and then like not have to worry about the copyright, you know, because like whenever people are doing like scores for like big Hollywood movies.
Yeah.
You know, like they can get permission to use anything
Yeah.
because the artist knows that they're going to make money off of it, you know. And so whenever you're working in that kind of environment, then it doesn't really matter if it's like, okay, well, this music is made by so and so,
Right.
and now I'm going to get my team to ask this team or like this music team or record label or anything for permission to put this in my movie for like 30 seconds, you know. But this is like a $1 billion movie idea, and they're going to make $1 million off of it.
Yeah.
You know, that's where it gets like kind of different. But like for my projects, obviously I'm not a crazy film director with unlimited money
Right.
and unlimited access to like everyone in Hollywood. So that's where I kind of stand on that, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. That's just kind of like, I was just interested because that's something that I'm paying attention to a lot right now. I think because I've been making my TikToks is the reason why. Like, my creative process is almost like flipped where I have to think about what it's going to sound like a lot more.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's like prominent in my head. And so I was just curious kind of how, like what you, and like how you approached sound whenever you make videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right. So I have another idea for the show. And I think that something that could be really cool is tying the regular show into after hours.
Okay.
So I think like how it would work, and this is just an idea, is like we do the same thing that we normally do, record like a regular show or whatever, and then like as soon as we finish recording, then like obviously like stop the cameras or whatever, because after hours is audio only.
Yeah.
And then but we just like sit here and like, and maybe not every week, but like just take a deeper dive into like whatever we were talking about in the regular show, or like finding like a key point that we want to like hit
Harp
harder,
on.
you know, in like after hours, because I think that could help people like stick around, you know,
Yeah.
for like the after hours show.
What if it's like a third show that comes out like after? Because the only problem that I would see is like it would come out before the main show. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I wouldn't hate that.
I don't think I would either. But
Then like maybe like it would, but it wouldn't, because it would be like that show, like a regular show would come out on Friday, but then the next Wednesday is whenever the after hours show would come out with that show.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't think I hate that at all. I think I actually think that that's really interesting. The only question that I think I have, and it's for the audience mostly, is like, do you think that the after hours format is something that the audience values a lot in that more like laid back kind of way?
Yeah, and I like what you said. Maybe it's like a different show.
Yeah.
Maybe it is like a different show. Maybe
it's very periodic.
or maybe it's like we do like a regular show, and then like if there is, maybe like periodically, maybe there is something that we want to like hit on a little bit harder. Maybe like that comes out on Saturday.
Or maybe it comes out on like Monday. Or, it doesn't even really matter when it comes out, but like I think that that's interesting because I don't think it has to exist for every podcast either. You know what I'm saying? Because there's definitely shows, well, at least I know for me, like there's been shows that we've recorded where I've gotten to the end of my notes and I'm completely out of ideas.
Yeah.
Just because either I did really good notes and I said everything that I wanted to say, or I came ill-prepared, which happens sometimes. You know what I mean? But I do like that idea a lot, and what I'm thinking is I've been doing some like looking around on other podcasting platforms, not other podcasting platforms, but like other podcasts, I guess, like bigger podcasts, and they do like shows behind subscriptions, which I don't think that we're at that size where we could sustain that realistically. But like something like what you just said, I think would be interesting for that.
Yeah,
You know what
I
I'm
think so
saying?
too.
Like basically an extra full podcast, which I mean a full podcast for us is like what, 30 to 45 minutes ballpark.
Yeah.
Like if that comes out twice a month behind like a paywall, I don't think that that's unreasonable. Or like I think that to me makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know what I'm saying? Because then, because we've talked about this before off the podcast, but like we don't want to like spam people's feeds with content, because the more people see your name, obviously that's a good thing, but also it becomes like oversaturated, I guess. You can like oversaturate yourself, which is not what you want to do, because then the podcast kind of becomes a novelty instead of like something that you look forward to, which is not what we want, obviously. We want you to look forward to the podcast. But I kind of like the idea of making it fairly sparse. And obviously, I like the idea of putting it behind a paywall, but I more so just like the idea of putting it behind like an exclusive place where only like real like diehards would listen to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Rather than like you couldn't stumble across that deeper dive. Rather than you can stumble across the main show and after hours.
Yeah,
That to me is interesting.
it is.
I think that we can think about that for sure. And then like I'm thinking too, like whenever we have a guest, what if we did the same thing with a guest?
That's where my brain went is
Yeah.
with guest.
Yeah.
I think like we do like a a more like interview style like regular show with like a guest, but then like
An after hours
the
show.
second part would be like, all right, now we're just like sitting and chilling,
Mhm.
and like these are all these things that I want to know about you.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that a lot. I think that's something that we should definitely think about. And then it's like, is it audio and video? Is it only video? Is it only video? Imagine it's silent. Is it audio only? You know, where does it live too? I think that's really interesting as well. So yeah, I think that's super cool and super interesting and something that's completely worth looking into, especially for guests. You know. I wanted to ask you this because the last time I talked to you, you were doing your animation project. You said that you're done with that now. What are you projects are you working on now? In school, out of school, whatever.
Yeah. So I am about to start my final for video 2, and it is another documentary. And so basically what it's going to be is I'm looking to do a documentary of this one guy, and he's over this program RCCC, and his name is Jay Taylor, and he is over this program called STARS, which is like a special needs program. It's like the special needs school for RCCC. But his story is like super interesting, and I think that it would make like super cool documentary. And so that's kind of like what I'm leaning towards. But I have like the most time to work on this project that I've ever had in my whole life to work on like anything.
Yeah.
You know, so
That's nerve-wracking, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm super stoked. And I'm keeping my ambitions big, you know, and like I don't want to like rush the project, but I also want to like get done with filming soon enough to where I can do like everything I want to post-production wise. But I also don't want to like rush the production because like I said, I want to be like super ambitious, and I want this to be like a big thing, and I want it to look like really nice and professional, because at the end of this I want to submit it to film festivals.
Oh yeah,
like,
we talked about
like
this.
across the country. And so I think that is like a super good way that I could like grow myself, you know, by being able to like enter my work into film festivals. And like the crazy thing is like anyone could enter their work in film festivals because there's a ton across the country that are like free to enter in, you know. It's like all you got to do is send your work, but it looks super good on resumes if you have like had your work in film festivals or like galleries or whatever. And so yeah, that's kind of something that I'm working on. And then I'm working on another project in photography, and it's a performance art photography piece. And so I don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, but what I am imagining is I don't know. I don't want to say too much. Yeah, performance art piece.
Okay.
I don't want to say too much.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
And then obviously, I know I said I didn't want to talk about this earlier, but since you asked, and then another project I'm working on is a studio album.
Dun dun dun. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but again, I'm not gonna say too much on that either, because I do want to like have a time where I like talk like real deep about that type of stuff. Like what
when they're done, closer to done.
Yeah, like kind of like the hardships that I've had to overcome with this, because there's way more than I thought there would be. Yeah, but yeah, so some super cool things coming down the pipe. I'm super excited for like the next couple months.
Yeah, and then like the follow up I wanted to kind of ask with that is like what I have it on my notes is like, where do you find like your style? Like, but really the question that I want to ask is like, where do you feel like your creator like voice comes from the most out of like all the mediums and then like the parts of it. Like for me, it's post-production video is where I feel like I can make the most of like an impact. That's where the story's told for me. Like whenever I make anything, like that's how instead of like I feel like I express myself the best in how I edit videos rather than even me talking into this microphone, which is like the most like clear form of expression. So like what is that like for you?
Yeah, I think that I would say probably video editing as well. Just because that's kind of what I've been doing for the longest amount of time, and that's the thing that I've had like the most practice in and most work in. But especially like after starting like RCCC and having access to the Creative Cloud like Adobe, and like being able to work in Premiere and like all these like super high end, super like you have like a ton of control in like these editing softwares. I think like being able to work in those and practice in those has just like leveled me up like a ton. And so I think with having access to like all these new things and pretty much being able to create anything that I want to create, like whatever I put my mind to, it's like can be done. It's whether I just like
Do
have
it or
like
not.
the skills or whatever. And so I think like looking at it like that, then video is where most of my like inspiration comes from. I think that I think about videography more than I think about like the other forms of creating, but also like I think I feel the most at home whenever I'm like out taking pictures.
That's what I thought you were gonna say. That's why I asked. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I know you dig that.
Yeah, I love photography. I love having a camera in my hands. Um I love like taking pictures of people. I like taking pictures for people. I like bringing like other people's visions to life. And then I also like whenever I'm thinking about a photography project, I like working in those projects and like giving myself a theme that I want to shoot. And then after you take 100 pictures, then picking the 8 that you really like and like really love and that you think really fit. And there's just something about that, man, that
Something
that is,
special.
yeah, it really
Yeah.
is. And it's so crazy because like I've had a phone, that can take pictures like my whole life. And until you like have a camera and you go somewhere to like shoot something, you're not thinking about like photography in the same way you do whenever you have like a DSLR in your
No,
hand.
dude, there's something sexy about having a camera.
There's something
Yeah.
there's something about it. There's just something different.
It feels intentional.
It
It's
is.
the-
The intention is there.
The same way that the same way that me sitting at my desk to edit a video feels more intentional than me sitting in like my campus library to edit a video. Like it's just two completely different kind of things.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all about the intention. But yeah. So I it's so hard for me to
Yeah,
pick
it is.
because like I love video editing and like I've done it for so long, but I also like love taking pictures. And so I'm gonna say split it 50-50
Yeah,
right down the middle
fair
between
enough.
those two.
Favorite kids can't pick one, huh?
Yeah, you can't pick.
I get it. I think that's interesting. Super interesting stuff. Do you have more?
No.
No. I only think I have. We can talk about like one more thing, just because I think it'll be worth doing, for the sake of it. I think I'm gonna pose it as a question to the audience and also like to you. 1 year Caddy Corner comes in like, I think it's like 3 weeks, maybe like 4, but whatever.
Yeah,
3 because 49 is right now as
yeah,
we're talking.
3 weeks.
Yeah, so 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, right. We already have a show planned for that. What we intend to record for that kind of is already in play. But is there anything like that you can think of that you definitely want to do for the podcast for 1 year?
I think like an edit.
Yeah, that would be
Of-
cool, right?
Yeah, of like
That would be crazy.
everything thus far. Like the key highlights.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah,
that's just like so tough because
yeah.
there's so much in the vault, dude. Like hours and hours and hours.
What was our first video episode? Episode like 4.
Yeah.
So that means that there's 48. At 1 year, there will be 48 episodes of the podcast in the vault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think like an edit of like all of like the like funny moments or whatever,
Yeah.
like moments that like Yeah,
like a montage.
Yeah, it would be like so sick to be like see where we started.
Yeah.
And like see where we are like at this episode right now.
Yeah.
Or like at episode 50, you know, and like everything that we've done in a year.
Yeah.
You know? I think that would be like super sick.
Yeah,
I think that would be something that I would be into like making too.
Yeah. That would be crazy cool. That wasn't even something that was like on my radar, like thinking of doing. But that would be crazy. It would be crazy to go through the podcast like that and pick the moments out. You know what I'm saying? That would be the time-consuming part. It isn't that bad to cut that thing. But, dude, it would be crazy to go through. How long do you think it would be?
The montage?
Yeah.
Maybe like 2 minutes.
Yeah. But think about how many parts are in that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
tons.
Tons. That's crazy. That would be cool, actually. We should look into that. We should think about
I think
that.
so too.
We should think about that. I don't know. I just feel like we've thought about 1 year, like 1 year of the pod. It's kind of sneaking up, to be honest. Like,
it is.
Because I didn't even realize. Whenever we got the episode that we wanted to do for 1 year kind of figured out, I didn't realize that it was like a month away then. Like, it's been a week, I guess, since then. And, like, dude, that's crazy to think about because like, we've been talking into microphones for a year every week, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes multiple times a week or whatever. But I don't know. It's just crazy to think about. What I wanted to do for 1 year, the project that I wanted to finish was the stickers, which, I mean, something would have to go catastrophically wrong for them not to be in some way finished by 3 weeks from now. But I guess don't put too much pressure on myself. But something would have to go catastrophically wrong to do that. But yeah, we do have a top secret major project that we're not going to talk about yet, which is kind of behind me right now. But it's too early to talk about that, I feel like, too. So
yeah.
But that'll be done soon too, which is crazy. Like, all things considered, like, it'll be sooner than later whenever like that is done too, which is crazy too.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Dude, 1 year of the pod, that's nuts.
It is. It's
Obviously
so
we're
crazy.
not there yet, but
It's so crazy.
yeah.
But it's like, I think the craziest part is how fast it's gone by.
Yeah. I would say everything except for like the past, like from 40 to 1 year has felt like a real lifetime to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I remember recording episode 40 and being like, what are we going to do for episode 50? You know what I mean? And like that feels like forever ago.
Yeah.
But like 1 to 40, dude, that was like lickety split. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, it has been. It has been crazy. I also wanted to talk about this for a second. I was thinking about this. I guess it was like the other day, which is like we really since episode 1 we have not made a show that is like strictly topical, so like time sensitive basically. Like our whole thing has like been evergreen, like our whole content library or whatever. And in the summer we did the back to school series, which was centered around going back to school. Do you think that we do that again in like the next time it's back to school season?
I mean, I don't
think we can hit the exact same topics.
Yeah. It's hard to live in a world where you like record the same podcast twice.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially with only a year of separation, too,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think that's something that kind of like lives in the vault, you know? And like maybe whenever it's time to like it's back to school season again, like we repost clips and stuff from those shows. I think that would make sense.
Yeah.
Or like posting it on the IG story. Be like, go check this out because it's back to school season again.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard. It's hard to say now because like obviously I don't know what I'll feel like whenever it's back to school season next year. But I think like not to toot our horns, but our last back to school series was
so
like
good.
Yeah, it was like super good.
The reason I'm asking is because Underrated Essentials for College Students, which is from that series, is like our second most viewed podcast now.
Yeah.
On the audio platforms, which is insane. So that's behind episode 1. That's above every guest episode we've ever done, is you and I talking about like pencils and pens and iPads.
Yep.
So that's why I was asking, is because that to me is very interesting, considering it's February 28th, and that podcast has got like 25 or so downloads in like the past like couple weeks, which is insane.
Yeah.
I feel like we'll probably do something similar to that, but not the same topics. Like we probably won't do it again for another. We did it for a long time. We made like 8 podcasts in a row about that.
Yeah.
Maybe more than that, even, to be honest. So, I guess only time will tell. But maybe if we figure out some new ideas for back to school series, maybe if you guys have any ideas, let us know in the comments. There's got to be like a good way for them to like talk to us. I feel like. Do you feel like there is?
Yeah, I mean
Just like drop comments and stuff?
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that would be fine too. I feel like it's tough because like finding them after a while is hard, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it is what it is. There's only so much you can do. But yeah, brainstorming with Caddy Corner. I feel like that was a fun show.
Yeah, that was a good show.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
Yeah, that was definitely cool. Thank you guys so much for listening to Caddy Corner episode 49. We might do a normal podcast again.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Unless we keep coming up with these amazing ideas for kind of like, I don't know, spin-off type podcasts. But this was kind of fun. This is something that Caleb and I don't do enough off the show, to be honest. And so we just did it on the show, and I thought that was kind of fun. Let us know if you liked it or hated it or whatever. If you did, then that's fine. If you liked it, then that's even better. And if you did, make sure to rate and review the show and leave a like and comment and subscribe and do all of that kind of normal stuff that we ask you to do in every single show. We do this show every Friday. I feel like this is similar-ish to the normal show. The vibe is similar. We talk about like lifestyle and self-improvement and how to just be the dopest that there ever was. So if you're into that, stick around every Friday, audio and video. And Caddy Corner After Hours is every Wednesday, which is more laid-back, kickback vibes. And we just kind of talk about whatever we want to talk about for however long we want to talk about it. So with that all being said, I'm Austin. He's Caleb. And we will see every single one of you next week. Peace.
Peace.